Hello, Garland Nixon here, and all this talk about who Elon Musk is suspending and why. Let's try to make some sense out of that. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here, and let's talk about the big thing now is about Elon Musk and suspensions. Who's suspended and why? Why? And before it was easy. If you said something about anti-war, maybe Israel, whatever, we kind of knew that why you would get suspended. We didn't, we griped and complained about it, but we knew why you would get suspended. If you said something, the wrong thing, and we knew what the third rails were, the third rails would get you. And as we're seeing now, they would get you mostly shadow ban, things of that nature. They'd put a little, people would have to like click on 4 different things before they read your tweet. It would be something like, this is Russian media and may be offensive and it could be blah and this, and you got to click these things to get through a tweet. You just knew they were trying to hide it. They were making it harder for you to see. And so you knew that was part. We all put it like this. We knew and understood the game. We didn't like the game. We weren't happy with the game. We felt the game was unfair, but we knew the game. And I think what's happening now is people don't understand the game and they don't know the game. They see people getting shadow banned, but Musk comes on, he buys it, and he says, look, free speech time now. You're going to be able to say what you want to say, the way you want to say it, and I'm not going to be unfair, right? And then the first thing he does is he starts banning people that we like. People are like, what the hell did you ban that person for? This it didn't make sense to us, right? But it's like I always say about things that are logical. There is nothing that's not logical, right? Something will happen. I used to love I was a big original Star Trek fan, right? And Spock would say, "But Captain, that's illogical," right? Here's the way I look at it: in the universe that we live in, anything that happens can't be illogical because it wouldn't happen. You just don't understand the logic. So now people are looking at it and they're like, Captain, this is illogical. Why? He said that he was going to stop being for free speech, and yet he's still shadow banning. I don't know what the hell he's shadow banning, but he's suspending people and things. Why? That's illogical. It has to be logical, or it wouldn't be happening. What I mean is this. It's logical to the person that's doing it. It seems illogical to you, but they have a system of logic that arrives at that conclusion. You just don't know the system that they use. You don't know the methodology they use to get there. Now, sometimes there is no methodology. Realistically, there are people that act intuitively. I can be that way. Like whenever a lot of times when I go to give a talk or to go to do a show or my radio show, many times I've done a radio show and the music is playing and I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. I don't know what the show's going to be about. I come there like, hey, what are you talking about today? And this one, the woman that does the show after me, Robin, she's awesome. I love Robin. One of my just favorite people. Very, very brilliant. I'm saying I do so many shows. The woman that does the show after me at WPFW in Washington, D.C., the Pacific affiliate. And I know she's a very orderly person. And I come in and she's arranging her music and she's writing out her list and doing all of these. And that's why her show's fantastic. Her music show is really fantastic and very mature, very cultured, just great music. But the thing about Robin is she's very orderly. And she'll say to me, what are you going to talk about today, Garland? Sometimes, and I'll be like, I don't have a clue. And she's like, oh, I know that's like nails on a chalkboard, right? To a person who is orderly and takes their time and does things, in a very structured manner, a person like me can kind of drive them crazy because I'm the artistic minded person, right? I'm out there. I just intuitively, whatever feels. And I could argue maybe it's that maybe that's why I'm so attracted to the philosophy of Zen. It's like, hey, things happen and accept it, right? So what we're dealing with here is something happening and people not understanding why it happened, and it's freaking people out, and they're not understanding the rules. What rules are we going by? Apparently there's got to be some. Garland, Nixon, Jackson, Hinkle, they get thrown off. This slob over here, he's still on. This guy ain't. What the hell? And so I think what's freaking people out more than anything else is that they don't understand the rules. So let me try. There are hints. There are hints. um and here's a hint. Well, let me start here before I get into to that. And that is one of the things that we see is that Musk is doing some things that I consider good, that I consider great. He is giving some level of transparency into what we've been experiencing over the last couple of years, right? The last few years, Twitter, and they even, you could see it, even their messages, they simply out of that flat out lied. They would say, we're doing this, but we're telling people that we aren't. In other words, they just flat out lied. That implies, of course, when somebody lies, that implies they have a reason to hide. So they knew it was wrong. I'll put it like this. They knew what they were doing would be unacceptable to people, and they weren't ready to take the heat. So they just did what they wanted to do, the way they wanted to do it, to influence the elections, to influence people, to control. They had a level of control, and they felt that they were responsible to control things to get the outcome that they wanted. So that's what they did. And they just lied to people. They lied to everybody. We're going to do this, but we're saying we aren't. Well, they would say things like, how do we justify this? Well, we can tell them it's for this, but it doesn't really violate our rules. Oh, well, the person did something wrong, but it isn't really wrong. We can't do anything to them. That's okay. We'll slam them hard in the future. In other words, we'll get our revenge on them sooner or later. We're mad at them because they didn't do anything wrong this time. We'll get them next time, and we'll get them twice as hard, right? So there was a certainly arbitrary and capricious nature to the way Twitter was acting, right? But now people are looking at it saying, what the hell? Why? Let me try this. He Musk gave us a hint. And what he said was, well, and I'm paraphrasing. I had the tweet. I can't find it. I got it up on my social media somewhere, but I don't know where the hell I put it up. And it might have been on Twitter. I don't doubt if it was on Twitter because it was after I got suspended. But what he said was, and I'm paraphrasing, if the far left and the far right are unhappy, you're doing something right. Now, remember, I'm paraphrasing, but he did say far left and far right. Okay. Now that's a big hint, because here's where people make their mistake. When Musk says the far left and the far right, they go into their definitions. They go into their understandings of who the far left and who the far right is. And they're like, well, the far left is and the far right is this group or that group. And they try to interpret that based on their standards for labeling a person's ideology far left or far right. Okay. But let's do it a different way. What's his name? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey used to talk about, instead of the golden rule, let's go with the platinum rule. The golden rule is treat others as you want to be treated. The platinum rule is no, 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 no. Figure out how somebody else wants to be treated and treat them that way, right? For instance, due to my age and my background and the things that I like, the way I grew up, there's certain things that I like, right? For instance, if you wanted to say, what does Garland want to do for fun? Well, maybe watch an NBA game or a NFL game. I like sports. Maybe go to a hockey game. I like sports, right? So if you say, let's make Garland real happy. Well, let's just say you like ballet. If you're going to do the golden rule, you're going to treat Garland the way you want to be treated, right? And what you're going to say is, I love ballet, therefore I'm going to take Garland to a ballet, whatever the hell you call a ballet, right? I'm going to take him to a ballet thingamajigger performance. There you go. That just shows how uncultured I am. Performance. Let's go with that. Garland, good news. What? I got tickets to a ballet performance, and it's Thursday. And I'm like, it's Thursday night football. Oh, yeah, that sounds just great. Gee, thanks. Thursday? You sure you want to go Thursday? And they're like, yes, you're gonna love it. Oh, they'll be spinning around and they'll be jumping and kicking their feet in it. I'm like, what time is it? Starts at 8:30. And I'm like, kickoff's at 8:15. Oh my God, it's a division game. We're getting close to the playoffs. Mike, no, you know what I mean? And I do that slow motion. No, no, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then all week, I'm like, you're like calling, hey, Garland, can't wait for Thursday. How about that ballet? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, gee. And I'm thinking, could I fake COVID? Can I get away with that? But then if they find out I don't really have COVID, then they're going to tell everybody, have you heard Garland? So COVID ain't going to work. An injury, suicide. Maybe I'll just kill myself, but then I still can't watch the football game. Oh my God, what am I going to do? That's what the golden rule will get you. You like ballet? You're trying to get Garland to go to ballet. He don't want to go to ballet. He wants to watch the stinking game. Okay. Hey, Garland, you know what? You've done me a solid, man. I really owe you. This is the platinum rule. What do you like to do? I don't know. I like to watch Thursday night game. You pick the sports bar of your choice. We'll go to the sports bar. We'll nibble on whatever you want. Drinks are on me. Big screen. We'll watch the game. Garland's like, hey, great idea. Gee, thanks. Right? That's the platinum rule. You are not trying to use your point of reference. You're trying to use Garland's point of reference. Right? Now, why do I say all that? Why? What is all that about? How do I get from there back to Elon Musk? Elon Musk's tweet about basically, here's what he's saying. When the far left and the far right are unhappy, you must be doing something right. That's why I'm doing something right. The question is this: who are the far left and the far right? And let's go to the platinum rule. That ain't the question we need to ask Garland. That's the question we need to ask the richest man in the world. We need to ask, and the richest man in the world is what? He's a member of the elite ruling class, right? But something, and this is all going to make sense. I got to add this in. As many of you know, my mentor for years was Paul Robeson Jr. For years, he was my mentor. I learned a lot from Paul Robeson Jr. and really brilliant ways to evaluate things, right? And one of the things that we talked about was this. Okay, you got a coalition of groups. Within that coalition of groups, a bunch of groups come together. Within that group, there's going to be more moderate organizations within that coalition. There's going to be more over the top. There's going to be ones that don't want to really do anything or change anything, right? So you're going to have all different. But that, no matter the size of the group, those elements exist. So if you're in your neighborhood association, let's say you got a community association, right? And there's 50 people and they have a community association. In that community association meeting, they're going to be people who are very conservative, very moderate, over the top, very let's change it. So they're going to be people in that community association where someone says, well, I think in this community, people can only have doors that are brown or black. I think we should introduce maybe a few other colors. They're going to be people that go, oh, no, my God, no, we've only been doing brown and black since we started. You mad? You're mad. The whole world will fall apart if we try another color, right? There's going to be moderate people that'll say, vote on it, whatever you guys go with. It's fine with me. And then there's going to be another element in there that says, I think we should open up for all colors. Purple, green, burnt orange, magenta, a sky blue, powder blue, whatever, right? In that community association, you're going to have various factions, some more or less moderate, right? Some more or less conservative. So you're going to have factions, right? In the elite ruling class, people talk about the elite ruling class. There are various factions, and those factions have their wars. Those factions have their battles. That's something you got to understand. Just because somebody's a billionaire, that doesn't mean that Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Warren Buffett, and George Soros, and the Koch brothers all agree on everything. There's certain things that they all agree on because they're members of the elite ruling class, and that is they should all be members of the elite ruling class, and we should shut up and do what the hell we're told. But there are other areas where they have disagreements. So, but there's foundational frameworks that they agree on, right? I believe that this business about the elite ruling class, viewing far left and far right, is one where there's a framework where a lot of them kind of have an agreement. So here's what I'm talking about. Maybe it'll help us understand who's getting suspended and not. I think, boy, I've talked a lot just to get here. For God's sake, I've been talking 15 minutes just to get here. But whatever. I guess you guys, we hang out together on this channel. We just hang out, so we have fun. I think that far left and far right, if you look at the elite ruling class, are the same for this reason. Because the either way, if you agree with the basic paradigms that work to make them super wealthy, then you're an extremist. And it doesn't matter if you're far left. If you tend to be a little more attractive to the conservatives, then they'll call you far right. If you're more attractive to the progressives or the left or the socialists, whatever, they'll call you far left. But if you are pushing back against things that help keep them rich, then you're an extremist. Watch this. I'm going to show you something. Let's go to gray zone cookie. Let's what? Let me see if this is still there. Oh, darn it, they changed it. Ain't that a bite? You know what? It's funny. They changed it. Let me tell you, I just went to look on Wikipedia for this reason. As of yesterday, Wikipedia said on it that the gray zone is a far left and far right website. And it was hilarious because I was in doing a Julian Assange event with Max Blumenthal and talking with Max, and then he did his talk, and he said the gray zone is far left and far right on Wikipedia. And I looked on Wikipedia, and darn if it didn't say it. It said the gray zone is a far left, and it says news website and blog, but it said it's a far left and far right website and blog. But now darn it, they caught it. Max ran his mouth and told on him, and they caught it and realized how absurd it looks. But here's the deal. I think if someone who gets suspended by on Twitter now, right? I think with Musk's particular faction of the ruling class, they don't necessarily care about the same things. See, you had the ultra liberal fascists in there, right? The Biden's neocons were running it. The Biden wing of the Democratic Party, which seems to be the whole Democratic Party, and it's a very fascist, a very totalitarian, extremely authoritarian group of people, and anything that goes against the narrative, the very, very brittle and easily debunked narratives that they put forward, they want to be dealt with, right? Anything, no matter how minuscule, no matter how almost irrelevant, if it pushes against their narratives, they're authoritarian people, and they want it stopped, done with. They're angry, they're furious at the people that did it. We're now finding out that literally the Biden administration, the FBI, even the director of national intelligence were meeting with these social media people, telling them, get rid of this one, get rid of this tweet, get rid of this person. What are you going to do about this? Right? Very specific things. How totalitarian is that? Specific tweets. It's nuts. But that's who these people are. But with Musk, I think that his faction of the ruling elite is they have themselves convinced that they're the good guys. They have themselves convinced that they have some alignment with goodness because they believe in free speech, as it were. Now, more so than the ultra liberal fascists, yes. Yes, I would argue that more so than the ultra liberal fascists, but not a lot more so, because they still believe in control of speech. But what speech? I think what you're going to see with Musk is a couple of things. Who gets suspended? And there's not going to be I don't think there'll be as much shadow banning as they will suspended or certain things. There'll be some. There'll still be some. He'll still allow that. But they're going to reserve it for, first of all and foremost, who's the people that get tossed? What's the third rail? Anything that would threaten the foundation of the system that keeps them rich, right? You can push back against particular policies that they don't really care about that much, or that they do care about that much, but they're on the side of pushing back against it, right? What they don't want is the anything that would crack that foundation of the things that keep them really, 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 really wealthy, you know, and that would really piss off the people who will let them get away with something. So I think with Musk, look, let's face it, Ukraine, what happened with Ukraine with Musk? He was making some money off of that, right? He had the Starlink system. He was doing it for free, but then it got revealed that he was getting paid. So he made some money off that Starlink system out of Ukraine. He got paid. Do not be misled there. Everybody thinks he did it for free. Apparently for a while he did, but then it came out the Pentagon was paying him. And let's not forget, at one point his SpaceX was about to go under. They couldn't make payroll. They literally didn't have the funds to pay the janitor. And what happened when they got to that point? When SpaceX couldn't make payroll, NASA came in with a $1.6 billion contract and bailed them out. They bailed them out because they didn't want them to go under, because they needed them. So the truth is, he's so connected to the system. He does need the system, and the system needs him. So if he says he did Starlink for free, well, wait a minute, man. Don't fool us. Free. Those people helped keep your company going. So it's not like you'd even be there if it wasn't for them. So did he do it for free? Well, for a while, but I mean, they helped him keep the company going. He'd have went under if it wasn't for those people. So did he really do it for free? Did they give him the money now? They gave it to you on the bottom end. So now you're just not getting it on the top end. And then when people started complaining, when he started apparently whining about not getting paid, look it up. You can search it. He started getting paid. So the idea that you give me a $1 million to help keep my company going, and then when my company gets ready to go under, you give me a gigantic contract to still keep it going, and then later on I'm doing something for you and people argue that it's free. It ain't free. It's just like this. I already got paid up front. I've already been paid. When you gave me that money, it was with a unspoken agreement that if you needed something from me, you'd get it. And that's the game. I'm buying your stuff, but understand something. At the end of the night, I'm going to make an ask, and I expect the answer to say yes. I answer to be yes, and that's bottom line. So, eventually, what happened in Ukraine? Did he suddenly feel good, like, oh my gosh, there's death and mayhem? And no. What happened with him? He's a billionaire, and he does billionaire stuff, and he enjoys it, right? And he got scared of nuclear war. That's what happened with Ukraine with Musk. Why he started pushing back on Ukraine, saying we need to get some kind of a resolution diplomatically here. Why did he say that? Because he's a billionaire, and he thought, oh my God, all of this, I'm living like a king, and I'm all going to lose it all to nuclear war. It was, I don't want to die because I'm too rich to die, and I know if it's a nuclear war, there ain't no way out of this for me. All the bunkers in the world. So what? Think about people who say, well, the billionaires have bunkers. Think about that. If the missiles are fired, you got 20 minutes. You got to be within 20 minutes of your bunker. What are the odds on any given day that a billionaire with helicopters and private planes and houses all over the creation are going to be 20 minutes from his bunker? Not good. You got a bunker. Let's say you put 5 bunkers around the world, 10 bunkers around the world. You still got to be within 20 minutes of that bunker when those missiles are fired, don't you? And guess what happens then? Yay, we made it to the bunker. Woo-hoo! Hey, the missiles are going off. All right, what do we do now? Well, by my calculations, we sit in here and we eat powdered milk and eggs until we die. Well, can we come out? Nah, it's going to be nuclear war and nuclear winter, and everything above us will be dead, and we'll be in these. But I got claustrophobia. Well, you better get over it, dude, because until the day you die, this is the bunker you're going to be in. There are a lot of people like me that says I'd rather be killed in the first blast than be in some damn bunker with the water filtration system going bad. Think about it. Your urine goes into the water filtration system and gets cleaned out, and now you've got nice fresh water, but it was once urine. Hey, what do we have for dinner today? Same thing we had yesterday. MREs. Hey, but the good news is today we've got peanut butter and crackers. What do we have yesterday? We just had crackers. What about next week? We're running short of peanut butter. Looks like it's just going to be crackers for a while. Really? How long? Until we die of starvation. That ain't really? That's your idea of surviving a nuclear war. It ain't mine. Take me. Find out where ground zero is, and I'm gonna stand there with my arms up and hug the nuke before I'm sitting in a freaking a bunker for the next 5 or 10 years or what. And what happens? No hospitals in the bunker. What happens if he gets sick? Talk about a miserable death. He's not a young man. What happens if he gets, like, I don't know, prostate cancer? Guess what? You're just going to die of prostate cancer slowly and painfully, because there ain't no operating rooms or doctors. And if there were, what are they going to do? Hey, how we fixed on medicine? I don't think we got any penicillin. Ah, darn it, I knew there was something we forgot. Well, what does that mean? That means you're going to die of a pretty nasty infection. How? Slowly and painfully. Gangrene, I suspect. Sepsis, something like that. It's going to be pretty miserable. No, that's not the kind of thing that billionaires want to have to deal with. So he's decided that, hey, you know what? I want this thing like over with diplomacy, and it just didn't go over big with a lot of people. But the bottom line is this whole suspension thing, it's about this. Who gets suspended now? Who gets suspended? The people who they view as threatening their money, threatening the system that gives them their money. So now you got Ukraine. What's going on with Ukraine? It's a friggin' gigantic ATM. It is a money laundering operation in so many ways. So many ways. You saw the FTX scandal. Perfect, man. Perfect. They give money to Zelensky. Zelensky and his crew, suddenly in the middle of a war, when they say, we got to buy things for the war, all kind of things for the war. What are you going to buy? Crypto. That would be a long-term investment, wouldn't it? So you are staring down the battle of the Russian army, and you decide, let's try a long-term investment in crypto. That makes sense, doesn't it? And what do you know? The long-term investment in crypto leaks right back to the United States, almost like a circle. It comes out of the Treasury, it goes to Ukraine, it goes to FTX, God knows various and sundry shell companies in Cyprus and the Isle of Man and Jersey, wherever the hell, Delaware probably too. And then the rest right back into the Democratic Party coffers. And you better believe there's some people who ain't in the Democratic Party is going in their coffers too. So that's the way the game is played. And Musk knows it. So if you go after things that will upset the people that are keeping him paid, he can only go but so far. And now when he says the far left, so if you want to know what gets suspended, like Garland, what did I went after Blinken with a funny tweet. And I went after all of it. Hey, you're trying to overthrow Pakistan. Hey, you're screwing over the Palestinians. Hey, Azov Nazis. Hey, he's eating off Azov Nazis with this Starlink. He is eating off of the Nazis, dude. He's like, hey, they may be Nazis, but that's how I eat, bro. That's how I eat. Sorry, you gotta go. I might have thought it was the Palestinians. It might have been a whole thing about Azov Nazis. I don't know if you noticed lately, but social media has been really jumpy about people bringing up Nazis. Why? Because that's how they're eating. That's how they're getting the money. That's how they're filling their pockets. So shut up, ixnay on the Nazis, nay, guy. We trying to eat. So now, if you look at him, I suspect Jackson Hinkle, a whole lot of anti-Nazi stuff going on. But the bottom line is, so they say the far left and the far right. And who's the far right that they're suspending? I would bet it's a lot of people who maybe hate the World Economic Forum, probably not too thrilled with Fauci, probably. Now, they're not like doing the same shadow banning. They just kick your ass off the platform. He no time for shadow banning. No, he's taking it the easy way. I ain't shadow banning nothing. You are messing with my money. This system gets me paid. Not shadow banning you. Your ass is out of here. Goodbye. And now, who's the far left and the far right? Let's talk about briefly. Talk about the far left and the far right. Who are they? The gray zones, both far left and far right yesterday, according to Wikipedia. But what was that about? The people who have, say, traditional values of that ideology and are not willing to subjugate those values to the mainstream neoliberal, neoconservative standards are considered extremists. Let's talk about the far left, as opposed to the left. Now, you go to any you go to Fox News, go to Breitbart, Town Hall, and all of the right wing Republican, pro Republican, I'll call it the pro Republican sites. And what do you see? They refer to Biden as the left. Biden's the left. The Democrats are the left. Well, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You probably heard this before, but I'll say it again. The original standards for the left were in the French Parliament. It was physical. It was a physical metaphor in the French Parliament. If you sat on the left side of the room, you tended to be a person who opposed the noble class and kind of fought for the status quo. If you literally sat on the right side of the room, you were status quo people, the monarchy, the noble class. You supported them and their policies, right? So traditionally, left and far left was going to be pushing back on the status quo. Right and far right and all of that was going to be more in favor of the monarchy, in favor of the status quo. Who in the hell could look at Joe Biden and his flock of globalists and say they're pushing back against the status quo? So by the initial standards, they're on the right. But as things moved into the late 1800s and into the 1900s, something else began to occur, and that was new definitions for ideologies that came in with what? With the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution now brought in large amounts of labor together, and one guy owns a big corporation. So, and then five guys own five big corporations, but they got 20,000 workers. So you've got a huge class of workers, a small class of the owners, the capitalist class, whatever you want to call them. These are the people with the loot. There's a huge people. And there was naturally some kind of enmity between those two, right? So now what you had was a new dynamic that you didn't have before, when you had the noble class versus the commoners versus the peasants, right? And what was it? The commoners were people like blacksmiths, people who had some kind of a skill. The peasants were unskilled labor, and the nobility was the equivalent of the capital class. So as we moved into the Industrial Revolution, things became more pronounced. And the working class decided we need to come together. The capitalist class has come together. The powerful people have come together to muster their resources together to keep us in order. We need to come together and create labor unions, unions of labor, organized labor, so we can bring our resources together and we can make demands. We want 5-day work weeks. We want different things, right? So you had a new dynamic, and left of right and right had to be parsed out of that. It was no longer simply, when it was an agrarian society, left and right was simply, which side of the room are you on? Are you on for the status quo and the monarchy and the noble class, or push back against the status quo and make changes? Now you've got the Industrial Revolution, you have the division of labor, things of that nature. And now you've got people who've got to say left and right has to be applied in the context of corporate power. So you had a new view of it. And so that ran into now. But what do we have now? And why? What is it when rich people, the richest person in the world, is talking about far left and far right? America, the neoliberals, the neo-fascists, I would call the neoliberals, neo-fascists, have redefined left and right. And Americans have bitten the hook and don't even know it. It's a bastardized definition of left and right. So now the left is what? Not based on economic class, not based on labor and the divisions of labor, and labor versus the labor class of workers versus the capitalist class, and those kinds of discussions that were obvious before, and they were there, wherever you agreed, those were there, right? But now it has been redefined. So now in America, the wealthy and powerful people, the ruling elite, who still wanted to hold on to the label of left, said, okay, we're going to redefine what left is. Left is now based on cultural issues. You can oppose labor unions. You can be pro-war. You can oppose even a discussion of economic class. And in that discussion, you can side with the corporate owners. You can side with the capitalist, corporate, rich, ruling elite class. right? You can be involved in everything that would traditionally have made you on the right and call yourself left. Why? Because of cultural issues, because of LGBTQ, whatever. Plus, I don't know, even keep up with all of the with the synonym thing going on here, but the LGBTQ issues. You can now give people like me a new names. You can just make something up. BIPOC. You're a black or indigenous person of color. What the hell is BIPOC? Ain't nobody's BIPOC. I don't even know what it is. I don't care what it is. You know what it is? You know what BIPOC is? It's like asset-backed securities and derivatives. It's shit that they made up for a reason. Asset-backed securities, bullshit. Derivatives, friggin' lies. These are magical financial instruments that were created on paper to make money. And that's what a BIPOC is. You know who I am? I'm Garland. That's who I am. Am I mixed up? Look at me. I look kind of weird, and my hair's weird, and the color of my skin's weird. And what does that mean? Because like most people in this country, talk to somebody. Hey, go walk, talk to a white person. Hey, how you doing? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, my mother was German. I think my grandfather was Scandinavian of some kind. And then my father was born in Poland, but he's really, and yeah, they're Greek, and then they're all mixed up, right? And you talk to Garland, well, I know I got some Native American in me because my mother, my grandparents were part Cherokee or something, and then my grandmother on the one side, she's Creole. You look at her, she had like green eyes and red hair. She's white as snow, right? And then her husband was black as coal. Think about it, black. It's a very American thing to be, all mixed up to hell, right? That's who we are. So we're all mixed up. Damn it, I forgot what I was saying, but you get the point. So my point being that what we got is, I got on a tangent, I got mixed up, but who cares? It'll come back to me. That's what the joy of ADD, right? But what I'm saying is this. So the elite ruling class. Oh, I was saying the whole BIPOC thing. That's what it is. Giving names to people that are just friggin' people. Just people, but you got to give a name to them so that you can now redefine the left and right. I'm in favor of BIPOCs. I'm here for the BIPOCs. Stand for the BIPOCs. And just like, is anybody ever going to walk up and say, yay, that's me. I'm a BIPOC. Thanks. In fact, you made up the word BIPOC. There's nobody that identifies themselves as a BIPOC. The liberals, the ultra liberals came up with this term BIPOC. There's nobody that it's like, hey, sometimes you have something to fill out, right? It'll say, okay, are you an American citizen? Yes. Please, are you black or Latino or white? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm BIPOC. It's not even on the paper for you to fill out BIPOC. No, it's made up. It's derivatives. It's asset-backed securities. Okay, so my point being, that's how they define left and right. So the rich elite ruling class redefined left and right with standards that don't even exist. So they can call anything left and right. Well, I'm on the left. Why? Because I stand for the rights of BIPOCs, whatever they are, and for the rights of the LGBTQ and trans people and what have you. Really? Well, how do you feel about labor unions? God knows they're terrible. Yeah. What do you think about, I don't know, corporate power? All for it. How about war? More. But in America, people who are like a MAGA person, I guess, and I don't blame them. What are they? They're getting the world is getting redefined for us in a way that doesn't make sense. It now believes it. Hey, that person's for LGBTQ rights. Well, they're on the left then. Look at that. So now there's a new definition. So now the left is defined by something that is not in any way related to economic class in the neoliberal system. And if you're Musk, you use the definition of the neoliberal system. So when he says the far left, that is in fact the people who define things by economic class. So now when he says the left, he means people like Biden. He means I call them the ultra liberal fascists. And for those of you who haven't heard what I mean when I say that, here's what I mean. Traditionally, they call it ultra-nationalism fascism, right? This fascism, it's an ultra-nationalist, right? Ukraine, the Nazis, they're ultra-nationalist, which I would argue they're actually fascist globalist, but that's a whole nother story. So they're ultra-nationalist. They're fascist by some traditional definitions. But I would argue if you can call them fascists, the ultra liberals, which are the Biden people, they're the neocons, they're the neoliberals, they're ultra liberals. They have taken things to a level of fascism. I mean, if you look at some of the definitions for totalitarian state, the government exists for what? War. Our government exists only for war, nothing else. It doesn't exist. Does it exist to help the people? Look at the budget. How do you spell commitment? Money. Once that professor say that to me. Where's the commitment? They just gave. What is our Congress? Where is their commitment? Biden said, "I want 802 billion." Congress said, "Nah, you'll take 847." They gave another 45 billion. What is their commitment? Their um, principal concern is with war. That war, first and foremost, it's war. That we got a war machine. That the U.S. government is a totalitarian government. It's a war. It has in no way any connection to the needs of the people anymore. In fact, they do everything they can to thwart the needs of the American people, to stop to shut the American people up, so they can't even voice their needs. So, to a ruling elite person like Elon Musk, you now say the left, defined by LGBTQ, BIPOC, trans, things like that. But by that, those kinds of things, did you use the right pronoun? What is the definition of a woman? Those kinds of philosophical discussions, they're not even ideological, they're philosophical discussions, right? Well, those are the left, the people who have traditional issues: organized labor, anti-corporate, suspicious of corporate power, suspicious of concentrations of power in the hands of a few, right? People who they oppose war, they oppose empire. Those kinds of people, they truly believe in social justice, not the social justice warriors that go around here being a fraud, where they run around and they say, we got to stand up for trans bathroom bills. That's all they want. They don't really want. But when I say social justice, I mean everybody's treated the same. Everybody has the same expectation of rights. That means that you say it's not right what they're doing to the Palestinians. That ain't right. Okay, that's traditional left. That ain't right. Why? Because I believe in everybody should be treated the same no matter who, and they're not being treated the same as everyone else. So I got a problem with that. That now, the person who says I'm for organized labor, I don't think it's fair the way they're treating the Palestinians. Oh my gosh, there's a war, and the only people getting rich off this war are these billionaires and Lockheed Martin. I oppose all that kind of stuff. Now you're the far left. You're the far left that Musk is talking about. The left is just the person who's BIPOCs and LGBTQs and transes and things of that nature. Not saying those things aren't of consequence. I'm just simply saying that should not define the left or right. It's a fake, it's a fraud to define the left or right, because now what it does, and it's intentional, because the people in power do not want us talking about issues of economic class. They don't want us to say, what are you going to do to help the working people out here, the everyday guy who gets up and maybe works in a transmission shop, maybe he's a car mechanic, maybe he's a longshoreman like my dad. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a bus driver. Maybe he's just a regular person that gets up and gets a job, a salesperson. What are you going to do to look out for that person, to help that person, to make sure that person doesn't fall, right? Teachers, firemen, even cops, right? They want to separate us all. And they want to say that's a discussion that we don't need to have. We only need to have this discussion that the left is having. Their version of the left about BIPOCs and LGBTQA and transgender bathroom bills. The people who actually want a discussion about economic class and fairness, that everybody's treated the same no matter what country they're in. The Palestinians are treated the same, Black people here, French-speaking people in Quebec, whatever the hell. You give us a group and we're going to say everybody should be treated the same. even people that don't agree with us. That's not, nope, nope, nope. That's the far left. The far right is who? It's people. You got a lot of conservatives, libertarians, and conservatives that are saying, look, think about the MAGA. A lot of the MAGA people just felt like this. We don't want our money going overseas. We want to use to fix our roads and shit like that. Right? A lot of the MAGA people are just like, look, why is all of our money going overseas to everybody else? Why can't we keep our money at home? Why can't we rebuild industry here? Why can't we use it for Americans and take care of our own and things of that nature? That is a traditional conservatism. But remember, within the context of traditional conservatism, there also was a certain level of non-interventionalism. It was, I don't want to get in everybody else's business. I want to stay home. That was traditional conservatism. So now those people are the far right. But you'll notice something. Both the far left and the far right, to the likes of Elon Musk and to the billionaires, are people who have concerns regarding economics and money and where do our tax dollars go and how much do we pay in taxes. There's things that we probably agree with. Let me tell you, one of the things, I remember thinking I'd run for governor one time or run for president. One of the things I'd bring up, that I think the far left and far right, as Elon Musk would define them, would agree on, that should be abolished, these damn speed cameras and red light cameras and all this kind of crap. It's a ripoff. So what happens? I've worked on this in the past. What happens? Did you know this? They got these red light cameras. They're everywhere here. And literally, they put a camera at a red light to get you going through the red light, you get fined, right? But you know what they do? They turn back the time on the yellow light. So if the yellow light's 5 seconds, they turn it back to 3. I'm just giving it a for instance, right? So now you're more likely to run the yellow light and you're more likely to get a ticket. What do they do with these red light cameras? Places where it's 50 and it drops suddenly to 35, 25, because it's a school zone. Boom, they put it in right there. And now they get people when they're least suspected. Why is that? Because these red light camera companies partner with the local governments, municipality, state, whatever. And they say to them, look, we'll handle everything. We will handle these things. We will maintain them. We'll do everything. We'll put these red light cameras, speed cameras up, whatever the case may be. And we'll send somebody to court. Whenever somebody comes to court, there'll be a person in court ready to do whatever you need to do. And we get a percentage. I don't know what the percentage is. Let's call it 50-50, right? We get 50-50. What that means is the more tickets this thing gives out, the more money they make. So it's part of neoliberalism. It is another way of taxing people, of taking the money of the working class. We got to drive up and down to go to road to go to work, and they want a little bit more of that. They can't raise, they can't raise their taxes. But if you look, I guarantee there's people right now looking at this saying, man, I get them damn things all the time. People get those, right? It's another way of doing that. I remember the first time I reported, I had a TV show in the DC area. And this was like 2007, 6, 7, somewhere in that. 2007, maybe 8, I believe. And I think it was 8. But Bob, yeah, I think it was 2008. But I did this report and I brought some lawyers on that had been working on that issue. There was one camera on Connecticut Avenue just before you go into Washington, D.C. This was 2008. Right? That's 15 years ago. One camera made $1.4 million in a year. Just one on New York Avenue. Just think how many on Connecticut Avenue. Just think how many cameras there are out there. Speed cameras, this kind of camera, that kind of camera. And they're just flashing it away. Flick, 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 flick. One of them made. So they're making around the DC area, for God's sake, the way traffic is, they're making literally billions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, let's think about where's that money coming from? The everyday person that works, particularly the person that has to drive for a living. A guy that's a plumber, he drives a plumbing van, he has to go all over the place, and he gets 1 or 2 every couple a week. It is a way to extract, if it's 100 million, let's just say it's 100 million. I know it's a lot more, but let's just say in the DC area it's 100 million. You've extracted another 100 million out of the hands of the working people, right out of the wallets of the working people. If I ran for office, I'd say these damn things got to be illegal. Forget it, close them all down, because it's another neoliberal way to extract money out of the pockets of the working class. I imagine that something would get you banned. Imagine that. Go on Twitter. Hey, we got to stop all of red light cameras and stuff like that. It's just you would just do something to get your ass banned in a hurry. Bottom line is this. This is all I'm getting at. If you want to understand the new dynamics of Twitter and social media, of Twitter under a billionaire like a Musk, it is what things are going to chip away at the foundations of the system that keeps him extremely, extremely rich. That's what it is. And like in my instance, quite simple, I had a tweet, and that tweet went after, it was a joke, but it went after overthrowing the government of Imran Khan. It went after blowing up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. It went after what's happening with the Palestinians. It went after things that's really going to upset the U.S. State Department and the Intelligence Department. So he can kind of let some people back on, maybe say some things they didn't say before, throw a few elbows they couldn't throw. He can kind of make it a neoliberal light version of Twitter, right? Light, less calories, tastes great, but it's less filling, right? So he can turn the dial on free speech, not on free speech. He can turn the dial back. They had the dial cranked all the way up to super high on neoliberalism, right? He can crank the dial back to 50%. That's what he can do on some things, but he can't on other things. And he still has to work based on the paradigm that people who oppose the status quo, that people who oppose war, that people who oppose the abuse of the working class, that people who oppose the abuse of particularly the Palestinians, people who really want to push back on regime change and neocon empire building and things of that nature, those are the ones that are in danger of getting suspended. Before, there was a whole bunch of stuff. If you just said the word COVID, suspended. Now, yeah, he's okay with that, and it's over. I mean, let's face it, they're kind of accepting that it's, there's, now it's like, hey, what about COVID? Well, we got the flu and COVID and the RSV, they got to throw a whole bunch of things together to kind of keep you scared, right? It's not just COVID anymore because Omicron's around and, it ain't what it used to be as far as people being afraid. So now it's, well, not just COVID, there's the flu. I had Omicron. I have had the flu in the past. The flu was way worse than the Omicron version I had. I put it like this: the Omicron version I had versus the flus that I've had that knocked me on my ass. The version of Omicron that I had couldn't touch the flu. Last time I had the flu, I was on the couch for 7 days. On the couch, I could get up and go to the bathroom. I could stumble into my bed. I was a dish rag for 7 days the last time I had the flu. And then when I had Omicron, I'm just saying, wasn't all that, wasn't all that. I'm just saying that's my experience, okay? I ain't down in or up in COVID. I'm just saying it's probably a lot harder to scare the bejesus out of people with COVID than it was in the beginning. And so things are a little bit different. So they're going to turn the dial way back on that. Guy, go on Twitter and tweet something about COVID and say Fauci stinks all you want to. We ain't going to give you a hard time. Fauci's retiring anyway. What is it? No skin off of their back. People have moved on. People have moved on. So then they'll basically say, yeah, you can say stuff about Fauci and COVID, and then people will dance in the street. Yay! Oh my God! Elon Musk is Mr. Joe. It's Mr. Free Speech. Hey, they're the new superhero. There's no need to fear. Super free speech is here, right? Because he said you can say something about Fauci or COVID. Start talking about Nord Stream 2 blowing up. Start talking about regime changes and things maybe that the State Department and certain three-letter agencies wouldn't be thrilled with. Start saying, I don't agree with the position on Ukraine, that Elon Musk may or may not be making a fortune out of from Starlink, and your tenure on Twitter is going to start getting short. How's that? So that's all it is. Understanding that things are different. Let's go and see if I can find somebody. This says, oh, now this is what somebody asked me. Did you submit to testing? Otherwise, how do you know that it's Omicron? Well, keep in mind something. I'm glad you asked that question. I'll say this. When you take your test, they don't know. I like went to one of these local places. I kind of thought I had it. I wouldn't, didn't, I mean, my symptoms were not bad at all. But, work, I wanted to be able to tell my job, hey, I better not come in. And I missed one day of work. One. Because I was worked from home for the rest of the time. But no, I wanted to make it do that. So I went to one of these local clinics where you walk in and they rubbed the little freaking thing in my nose, and it was like, yep, it's positive. So, but I mean, I had a headache and fatigue and a bit of a dry cough, not much. Not a bad cough, but mostly fatigue. I was mostly tired. So it really wasn't that bad with me. Everybody experiences things differently. I'm not vaccinated. I'm not a medicine person, so I didn't get vaccinated, but I didn't have a whole lot of troubles. I got to be honest. Is what it is. Um, so yes, I did. But keep in mind something. Just getting tests doesn't the traditional test doesn't tell you if it's Omicron or not. It just says a positive or negative. And then there are even issues with that, to be quite frank, depending upon the cycles of the PCP test or whatever the hell it is. PCP. I guess you got to be on PCP to believe all this crap. But you get a PCR. That's it. But at any rate, so they actually have to take it and send it into a lab and do further testing, which is much more expensive to determine if it's actually Omicron. At the time that I got it, it was the Omicron wave, and based on my symptoms and everything else, I'm pretty sure it was Omicron. But like I said, it wasn't really I didn't have a real bad situation. Cam 35 says, why are you blocking me and protecting the Duran? Why are you blocking me and protecting the Duran? Now, Vest was just like the EU for Uncle Sam. I don't know who. Somebody's blocking him and somebody's protecting the. Who's blocking Cam 35MM? Are you now a vassal for the Duran, just like the EU for Uncle Sam? Well, I wish I knew what that meant, but thanks for the $5. Yeah. So I guess I don't know whatever your question is. Somebody's blocking Cam and protecting the Duran. I love the Duran. So I guess if the question is, am I protecting the Duran? I don't think they need protecting. So, but thanks, Cam. You got your question in there. That's important. And whatever you mean, look, if you want to do it, Cam, send me something else and make it clear, because I don't understand it. I would like to answer the question, but I don't understand it that well. Free speech is being able to say where people dine. There you go. I was in New York City yesterday and I saw something interesting. I'll say it in a few seconds. Nowadays, they will label anyone who doesn't agree to the mainstream idea a far left or right, depending on what fits their reasons to go against you. I love listening to you. Greetings from Germany. Thank you. That's it. That's it. In Germany, I'm suspicious. They're saying, oh, yes, this far right wing group tried to overthrow the government. I don't believe that stuff. Those people were like 65, 70 years old on friggin' walkers. They're getting guys with like gray hair hobbling around on a walker. Yes, he was trying to overthrow the government. I'm like, that guy can't get out of he couldn't get out of the car without your help. And I'm supposed to believe that these guys are overthrowing the government. Methinks that there was a bunch of people in bars sitting around swigging a brewski, and they were like, yeah, this government sucks. They need to be replaced. And they're like, aha, we got it. A coup attempt. And of course, they will now use that to go after everybody, call them right wingers, disband the AFD party, anybody who opposes anything, they'll go, it'll be that's what totalitarian governments do. They cook up an excuse so they can go after people. Peter Jackson says, in a recent stream, you alluded to the U.S. drawing on Australia's economy against China over Taiwan, similar to Germany, Ukraine. Can you expand on what you think the U.S. plans are for Australia? Yeah, I think it's exactly the same. Exactly the same. You're correct. In the same way that the U.S. is sucking everything out of Germany and out of the East, and they're going to shut Germany down. They're going to impoverish Germany so that they can, to help them go after Russia. To help them to help strengthen the empire. right? Number one, I'll wipe out Germany's economy, and that way Russia can't do business with Germany, and I'll shut Germany down. And they won't be mouthy. They'll be too poor. They'll need me, and they'll be desperate, right? And I'll have all of their. Meanwhile, I'll have all of their industry, like the old joke that says, "Before you can criticize a man, walk a mile in his shoes," because number one, you'll be a mile away, and number two, you'll have his shoes, right? Well, that's the same joke with Germany. When you get finished with Germany, they're going to be poor, they're going to be broke, they're going to need you, and they can't do business with Russia or China or anybody else. Australia, it's to be used. It is a tool. And they're going to say, Australia, don't do business with China. Oh, Australia, sanction China completely. Don't sell them anything. Don't buy them anything. And the Australians just say, we're going to starve to death. And they're going to be like, man, your point is? They don't care. That's your job, is to be starved to death. They're going to treat Australia the same way they're treating the Europe economic cannon fodder, my friend. Economic cannon fire. That's what they are. Cop fodder. The same thing. Economic cannon fodder. Thanks a lot, Rochelle Santos. I certainly appreciate that. I'm looking for anything where somebody might have done. And let me go back down to the bottom. Oh, we got another one. Let's see what this person said. Wololo says, you think the multiple war is real or fake New World Order? The multipolar war. Oh, I don't understand that as well as I should, but I think that bottom line is there's a definite change. I've met with a bunch of African people for African Forum today. There's a change, man. A lot of Africans they're working on kicking the French out of Africa. People smell blood in the water. People in the global South see that the U.S. is getting weaker, and they want to take advantage of it. And they want to take advantage of it by getting some more of their freedom and making their own decisions and getting out from under the boot of the U.S. The U.S. has been, and the colonial powers in Europe have been, robbing the global South for centuries, and they know it, and they see an opportunity to get out from under it. I mean, they're literally saying that. They're literally, people from Africa and various countries are literally saying, look, we've been screwed for 500 years by the European powers in the U.S., and now they're getting weak, and this is our opportunity to make our move. They're literally saying those words. So that's what's going on. That's definitely what's going on. Oh, let me see anything else. Well, let's see if we got some names. Some things. I'm not upset about it, but I didn't get banned from Duran for saying Maloney just needed to get laid. I did get banned from the Duran for saying that. But keep in mind something. Let me say this. I do think there is a certain element of concern, whether it's me or the Duran, right? Because you may say that, and the Duran may be concerned, they'll use that stuff to ban them. You got to be careful, because there's also a concern of a creator that, their head is on the chopping block. And a lot of time the creators are concerned that, like, man, they'll use something in, the Duran's really good. They're really good. And I think there is a concern there that YouTube will try to use what people are saying and just say, oh, yes, you're allowing this to be said, so you have to be done away with. So you got to understand it from their perspective. They're trying to keep their channel. I like the Duran. A lot of people like me want to be able to see what they have, and so they're scared. So you got to be wary, there. They got to be afraid. Cam says, blocking means ghosting someone's comment from the public, and you have been doing this. I have two windows open. One, don't try to fool me, and others, shaking my head. I don't know what you mean. Blocking someone. Here's something you need to know, just so you'll know this, Cam. 35 millimeter Cam. I don't have any, what do you call those? The people who are moderators. So I don't have any moderators. And I'm talking, you'd notice my hands moving if I was like clicking on things to block some people. So Cam, you ain't being blocked because there's nobody to block you, because I don't have any moderators. It's funny. I'm glad you brought that up, Cam, because I've been thinking to myself, actually, because I don't know this platform and this stuff as well as some of these people, right? So I turn on to Duran and I see Alex Christopher say, I want to thank the moderators, this person, that person, and this person, whoever they are, right? And I think to myself, I wonder how you get moderators. And I wonder if I should have moderators. So I think I should have moderators. And I think what Cam 35 saying is somebody ghosts or something like that. So I guess maybe I should have moderators, but I don't. And I hope I don't get my ass in trouble for not having moderators and somebody in here saying things that they shouldn't. So the truth is, Cam, nobody's ghosting you because there ain't no, there's, I'll put it like this. If you're being ghosted, then it's by a real ghost because there ain't nobody here to do it, including me. So I hope I don't get thrown off, Cam, because I don't know. Now, although I will say this was some weeks back. I had somebody and they came on and somebody said to me, there's somebody in here who's trying to sell something or pretending to be you or something like that. So when I went through the chats, I found somebody that like had my picture and was literally trying to get people to go to like WhatsApp or something and buy stuff from them. And I got rid of that person. And I think I had one of these NAFO trolls back a while back in there. And I went in and got rid of the NAFO troll. But that was like afterwards. I went through the chats because somebody told me myself and did something with that. But as far as anything happening to you while this show is going on, yeah, that just ain't going down because ain't nobody to do it. All right. Anything else? Government plants the same mods, various places trying to destroy American discourse. People are going nuts with conspiracy theories. Listen, YouTube actively through AI deletes comments. I don't know. Maybe it does. Yeah, who gives a crap? Putin changing the first strike policy spooked the West. The Duran is a very good show. They do a good job exposing the truth, informing us about what the government does not want us to know. It's one of my favorite shows. I really like Jimmy Dore. I like the Duran. I like Earl Grey. I like the New Atlas. I like Andre Martinyov. What is he? Smoothie something or other, X12 or whatever. What a hilarious name. I love that. Those are shows I like. I have I like my local sports teams, the Caps, the Wizards, the Nationals, things like that, the Commanders. So I watch different YouTube shows with people who do YouTube shows for those kinds of things. YouTube, I like YouTube. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I like Rockfin. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Cam is saying you were blocking him, Garland Nixon. Well, if Cam lives in that world, that's wonderful. Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution, Anthony Sutton, Wall Street and the rise of Hitler. Oh, that sounds good because that's something that I put together a long time ago. I basically said the rise of the Nazis, the crash of 29, it was right there. And let's face it, the U.S. banks financed the Nazis. So, and now they're doing it again. No, I don't know. What the hell language is that? Is that a language? I don't know. That's interesting. The Jim Baker crowd loves a desire for moderators. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I ain't got no moderators. Hopefully, I won't ever need any. Hopefully, somebody won't say something that'll get me thrown off, and I won't even know they said it. But I don't look over my chats as much as I look at my chats sometimes after the show. Just read through them to see what people have to say. And I'm this kind of person anyway. If somebody wasn't really over the top, I'm not much on getting rid of what people have to say anyway. I mean, if somebody just said, kill all the whatever group or something like that. Yeah, okay, I'd probably throw that out. But any of this stuff, people should disagree. You know what I mean? Cam 35mm or whoever they are, go for it, man. Whatever you got to say. If you disagree with me, the Duran, everybody, good. I believe, some people say they believe in free speech. I believe in free speech. I believe that it is important to protect unpopular speech. Nobody has to protect the speech of somebody who wants to stand on the corner and say America's great. But the guy who wants to stand on the corner and say America's a jerk, that's the one. Same way, if somebody is in my chat and they're like, you're a liar, a fraud, and a crook, Garland, let that person go. Let them say that. Good, wonderful. Because you know what? That person will be there. Maybe they'll hear something Garland says and maybe they'll like it. Maybe they won't. But I would never shut somebody out of my chat because they disagree with me or say somebody I didn't like, unless they were attacking a particular group or ethnic group or something like that. I'd say, no, that's not, we're not going to have that here in our room. But as far as disagreeing with me, you know what? If you ever listen to my radio shows, what do I say? The people who listen to my radio shows know. Here's what I say to callers when you call in. If you call in, If you agree with me, you get 1 minute. If you disagree, you get two people. The way you improve as a human being is to listen to people who disagree with you. So Camp 35M, if you disagree with me, now, the only way that I may block you is if you just came on and you're like, Garland's right about everything. I love him. I'll get rid of this bastard. He's a waste. Click. No, I'm just joking. But all jokes aside, the person who disagrees with me is the last person who's ever going to get done away with from my chat. So Cam 35, whatever. If you want to say I disagree with the Duran, they're terrible. It's my favorite. They're my favorite people. But if you want to disagree with them and say they're terrible, there you go. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. I certainly appreciate it. You can see everybody. Let's see. What do we got here? One more thing. Oh, last American background just goes on and on about COVID. We know the US is behind COVID. It is killing people. The end. Olivia Musman, clearly the world has a common enemy, yet few are as brave as Martin Luther in calling the foreboding ones out publicly. Yeah, poor old Martin. And UK column smash it, Camilla V. Yay, we love Camilla V. And thanks, Camilla. Last but not least, I'll say this: anybody who can afford in any way to help the channel, I certainly appreciate it. You see everything going by. First of all, we got 746 people. There should be 746 likes. Hopefully, everybody smash the like. Everybody, don't forget, wherever you are, you can become a member of Rockfin, absolutely free. It does not cost anything. Please go be a member of my Rockfin channel because the way things are going, I've been kicked off a lot of platforms. And if you come on YouTube one day and you're like, hey, let's check out, whoa, hey, where's click, I can't find him. You can find me. I'll still be on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/Garland Nixon. So go over there and become a member of my Rockfin channel anyway, just in case, and watch it. Rockfin's great. Like, it's really better. Next, of course, my, you see, I've got my, Telegram channel that I'm on. I got like 3,000 people on Telegram now. It's great. I'm posting on there and all that. Of course, there's ways you can help the channel. There's PayPal. Buymeacoffee.com/Garland H. I don't know why they stuck an H on there. And then Cash App. So there's any number of ways you can help the channel. Also, don't forget, Rockfin is free. But you can become, I can't keep up with it if it's $14.99 a month, $9.99 a month. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's something like that a month. If you want to be a subscriber on Rockfin, you can do that. And I would appreciate that. You don't have to do it. You can just join for free. But if you do become a subscriber, that helps the channel. Rockfin is a free platform. However, Rockfin does not do any ads. It is ad free. And having subscribers is what allows Rockfin to be online and to not have any ads. So anybody that can be a subscriber, I think change it. I don't remember if it's $9.99 or $14.99. It goes with the show. I don't know what the hell. But Rockfin's great and it doesn't have any ads. And we need people to become subscribers to help keep the channel, keep it going. So anybody who can, I certainly appreciate that. Any way you can help the channel, that's great. And if you can't afford any of that, don't worry about it. If you can't afford any of that, don't worry about it. Just share this wherever you can on your platforms and use the money to feed your family. That's what's important. By the way, if you become a subscriber on Rockfin, the only thing that does for you is it allows you to see the premium. And there's lots of great Rockfin channels, and they all have agreed to do one premium show per week. And mine is Wednesday morning. I have Scott Ritter from 9 to 10, my premium show. And we do a weekly update on Ukraine, the battlefield, things that Scott thinks is important every Wednesday morning at 9 Eastern Standard Time. I show the first 20 minutes of that on all of my platforms because I want everybody to see as much as possible, even though I'm supposed to do a full hour. I'll tell people on Rockfin, I'm supposed to do a full hour, but I do the first 15 minutes or so. I actually do on YouTube or wherever, so everybody gets a chance to hear like the big stuff that that Scott's saying. So you can be a free member of Rockfin or you can become a subscriber. I really appreciate the subscribers. And thanks everybody. That's my end of the show spiel, and I will be back soon. Peace. I'm out. Oh, no, I'm not. Some people made some donations on Rockfin. Good old Ratfink and Marmalade says, how was the Assange rally, Garland? Did you hang with Max and Roger? Best wishes. Oh, man, that was so awesome. I met Roger Waters. The guy's brilliant. He's the best. He's the coolest. The guy's the coolest. Roger Waters is so awesome. You got to love that guy. He's on the right side of everything. Max Blumenthal was hilarious. I tell you, it was really funny in person. I tell you, it was really funny. Katie Halper is really hilarious. I didn't realize she was that funny. She has a tremendous sense of humor. Anybody else? That's it. Uh, and that was it. It was great. And I, because I'm a big believer that we should all support Assange and we should all fight for what's right and then support WikiLeaks and everybody stand up for Julian Assange. Peace. I'm out.